So when I was 23, there was a week where I had a date with a different guy every night for 4 nights in a row, Wednesday through Saturday. And I liked it that way. I liked going out to bars and I liked staying out late, even on weeknights. And it was on one of these weeknights, the Thursday before Labor Day in 2007, that I decided to go to the Black Cat and have a couple beers. And so I'm standing at the bar waiting to place my order when I notice that the guy sitting on the stool right in front of me is very attractive. And so I move up a little bit, hoping he'll notice me, and he does. Have a seat. I'm Clark. He and the bartender were talking about pickup lines and the worst ones, and he asked me if I knew any. Yeah, how much does a polar bear weigh? I don't know. Well, I don't know either, but it's enough to break the ice. Hi, I'm Rebecca. He got my phone number, and the next night at 3 a.m. when I was closing down yet another bar, he texted me, I want to kiss you right now. Come over. By the time we had breakfast the next morning, I was hooked. I had never dated anyone like him before. He was older than me and in a band and very adventurous, and he seemed to know everyone everywhere we went. Pretty soon we were spending most of our nights together, and then about a month after we met, he and I are back at the Black Cat when he looks at me. I think I love you. I think I love you too. A week later, he moved into my apartment. 4 months later, we're in February now. He and I are more in love than ever, and he goes to the doctor to get a mole removed on his upper thigh. The doctor calls the next day, and it's cancer. We go to the doctor the day after that, and it's melanoma, and it is in his lymph nodes already. He looked at me. Here's your out if you want it. But I didn't want it because we were in love and we were going to fight it and we were going to beat it. And so we fought it with 3 surgeries and 2 clinical trials and 1 last-ditch effort at chemo. He had 5 weeks of hospice before he died on June 16th, 2009. He was 33 and I was 25. Now, for the entire time that he'd been sick, all 16 months of it, I had been his primary caretaker. So during the surgeries, it was getting him in and out of the bathtub and cleaning his sutures. And then when things got really bad, it was helping him walk and changing his diapers and managing his methadone. And so I entered the world without Clark with a lot of newly freed up time on my hands. It was like the universe said to me, you love Clark? Well, prove it. And then I did prove it, but he was still dead. So what was I supposed to do with that? Like, what was I supposed to do with all of those feelings? Well, I also hadn't been laid in a really long time, so I just kind of cured my free time alone problem by going to the bar and meeting dudes, meeting up with dudes. Some of them I knew, and then some of them I just met, and then taking them home, and then trying to have a relationship with them. But what they don't tell you is that having a dead boyfriend does not mean you are exempt from all of the bullshit that normally accompanies dating. It's even more terrible. The first guy said to me, I think I could do the monogamy thing with you. His words, not mine. But then he left a date in the middle to go check on something and never came back. The next guy I dated, I haven't felt this way about anyone in a really long time. He is now married to the woman who was his girlfriend the entire time we were dating. And so after about 9 months of these and like 6 or 7 dudes, I was done. I was pretty done. And also the year anniversary of Clark's death was approaching, and so I was just thinking about him more than ever, and so I kind of naturally just went into my second stage of grief, 24/7 mourning all the time. So I wore Clark's clothes. I listened to his band's album on my earbuds every day. I went through all of the emails in his sent folder. I made some other changes. I got a new job at this local record label that had ties to Clark where they knew him and then they knew me as his girlfriend. Sometimes as part of that job, I would have to put Clark's CD in the mail and ship it to somebody who had ordered it on the internet. Because the record label didn't pay me that much money, I moved in with Clark's best friend and his wife to live in their house for free. So it was like Clark's memory was like a case I was being carried around in, pretty much. But, you know, it wasn't the worst phase to go through because at least I was feeling all of my feelings all of the time, crying in public all of the time. And I could do worse because I was in therapy, at least, during that time, you know, learning to process all of the bullshit I had just been through and coming to terms with my grief and my anger and my fear about the future. After a couple of months of this, I began to make some little changes. You know, I moved the picture of us from the bedside table to the bookshelf. After Clark died, I had a really hard time spending time alone. So I developed this kind of Sunday morning ritual where I would go to the coffee shop and have coffee and read magazines, and then I would go to yoga, and then I would go to the farmer's market, and that was a big accomplishment for me. Also, it was awesome. And then I moved in with my best friend to a neighborhood I'd never lived in before, where it was pretty free of reminders. I hadn't even spent that much time there before. And so when the 2-year mark approaching, I'm starting to feel okay about things, okay about moving on, like I don't have to feel guilty about it. And finally, at the end of the summer in 2011, I get a new job, one that's gonna allow me to think about Clark on my own time, not between the hours of 9 and 5. And so with a week left between my old job and my new one, I decide I'm gonna go to the Black Gap and I'm gonna see what's happening there. I haven't been out in a long time. It's been 15 months since my post-Clark dating spree. And so I go and I'm standing by the jukebox kind of surveying the room when this guy with a big head of curly hair comes up to me. Hey, I'm Jeff. Jeff and I get to talking. I don't remember what we talked about because I was really drunk. But we went back to my house to make out. And in the morning, over coffee, we had one of those like electric conversations, just my instincts were on fire, and I could sense that our connection transcended number of alcoholic beverages consumed. A couple days later, we're on our first real date, and I'm sitting on his couch having a cocktail, and I can't help myself. I say this out loud. This is really exciting. Because I just had this feeling like something really good was about to happen. Thank you.